Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, continuing our summer scouting, taking a look at the Miami Hurricanes. And this is a team we've talked a lot of recruiting about, a lot of transfer portal about, and now we get a chance to talk about what this team is going to look like in the fall of 2023. Now, before we even get into it, I do just want to shout out the Miami fans. You guys have been rocking with the fellas, showing a lot of love and support, so we appreciate it. Just wanted to say that if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Again, we're going to have a lot of recruit news to talk about in the month of July, so stay locked in for that. But again, you guys have shown a ton of love. We support it, or we appreciate all the support you guys have shown. And Bill, without further ado, let's get into this program that, for me, extremely excited. And one of the reasons I'm most excited is, one, Mario Cristobal bringing in a ton of talent from the 2023 class and the transfer portal. And we're going to get to see this offense without Josh Gaddis still. I want to start with the offensive side of the ball. No Josh Gaddis. You bring in Shannon Dawson. How are we feeling about this Hurricanes offense?
That's like almost a big thing. It feels like Cristobal kind of just missed on these two coordinators. And Gaddis certainly performed much worse than the DC Kevin Steele, but it just, for whatever reason, that offense could not get rolling at all. Nothing looked good. Tyler Van Dyke taking the step back that he took, just inexcusable. And good for Mario Cristobal kind of pulling the trigger quickly and being like, not letting this go on for 2, 3, 4 years or something crazy and really let this get off the track. Because this team, again, when Cristobal came in, he built up some major momentum on the recruiting trail. I expect him to be able to continue to do that. That's his bread and butter. But at the end of the day, you got to hope these coordinators hit, because
I think it's got to get better. Now, I'm going to get 30 seconds. For a lot of the Miami fans who've been listening to us for a while, like, know how I feel about Josh Gaddis. I'm just going to get my tirade over, and then we're positive vibes only looking to 2023. But Josh Gaddis, like, as a Michigan fan, Miami fans, we can agree. He is just, like, at Michigan, you look at what he did and where he succeeded. That was Jim Harbaugh's offense. He came into Michigan promising us speed and space. The only good offense that he led was 12 personnel, power run game. That was Jim Harbaugh's offense. That was not Josh Gaddis' offense, and I think that's why he left for Miami. And I thought it could have been a good fit, right? A lot of speed at Miami, and that kind of fits what he wants to do. But when you look at Josh Gaddis and his offensive play calling chops, there's just no identity.
That might just be the issue. It's just a play calling thing, because like, at Alabama, he can coach wide receivers, and I think he's a decent designer of an offense, but I'm not convinced in game he's the guy who should be calling plays. He's going to Maryland now, and Loxley is obviously
going to okay, I promise I'm done with the Josh Gaddis slander. Give me 20 more seconds. I was watching the Maryland spring game, and he's calling both sides of the offense, right? They're running offense versus defense. He's calling the offense. This is great. The score at halftime was 3-0. Like, the offenses couldn't move the football. Josh Gaddis picking up right where he left off with Miami. All right, now we're actually done with the Josh Gaddis talk. Shannon Dawson bringing in the air raid, but I'm not convinced you're not going to see a heavy dose of a run game too. And I want to talk about the wide receivers first. This was such a sore spot for Miami, and like, you had Charleston Rambo a couple years ago, but outside of him, like, there just really hasn't been Miami wide receiver talent to really talk about. And you look back at the 2022 year, your leading receiver is Will Mallory. And that just tells you a little bit about the explosiveness. 129th in the country in explosiveness on offense. Tyler Van Dyke, I'm confident is a good quarterback. Now, what wide receivers around him are going to step up and kind of provide that playmaking ability for Tyler Van Dyke? That's the question that I have.
And that will ultimately be it, because again, you mentioned Tyler Van Dyke. Like, we saw him in 21. That's a very good quarterback, good athlete. He can do what he needs to do to make this Miami offense successful. I mean, in fairness to Gaddis, he was working with a wide receiver crop that was constantly injured.
Yeah, really, that's true.
They couldn't get anything going. It's like Restrepo had his moments, and then he'd miss a couple games.
Yep.
They just didn't have the guys on the field consistently enough. And that's just kind of a bad break. And you just expect that to be better, and hopefully it goes better. Because, again, if these wide receivers, they need to just be on the field and develop some chemistry, because it never happened last year.
I'm excited for this group. And one, Shannon Dawson, like, a proven, like, he gets a passing game going. He did a phenomenal job at Houston. And another thing that I'm excited for is the simplification of this offense. Like Tyler Van Dyke's a guy, he's about as accurate as it gets as a quarterback. I think when it starts asking for him to go through his reads, that's where he seems to struggle. So simplification for not only the quarterback, but the wide receiver makes sense. And some of the guys I'm taking a look at, and they don't have Tyler Harrell on the depth chart, the speedster from Alabama. If he can stay healthy, I think he brings a nice element. A healthy Xavier Restrepo, I think, is massive in terms of that short intermediate game. And I've been hearing a lot of buzz about Kobe Young, the JUCO transfer that like shined late in the season last year. And then what you're hearing from spring camp is like, he's going to be a dude. And you have a couple young kids in Tham Joseph and Robbie Washington. If this wide receiver group can click, because everything else about this offense, I don't have many questions about. But if this quarterback wide receiver duo and the Shannon Dawson offense can click, you're going to see a meaningfully better offense in 2023 than you did in 2022.
And that's what you got to think, because I mean, Henry Parrish is a very good running back. I think Mark Fletcher comes in and
it's the Mark Fletcher show.
Now you got like a 1-2 punch, whether Mark Fletcher's the one and Parrish is the two or vice versa. You got two guys who I think you can trust. So again, that side of it should be good. You're just right. It will come down to see whether Van Dyke and these wideouts can get on the same page, and one of these guys like a Colby Young can kind of step up and complement Restrepo.
Can you get the explosives going? I think that's like the biggest thing. This team just could not generate explosive. That was a problem we saw at Michigan with Josh Gaddis too. Like just unlocking those explosive plays. It is a lot easier to go 4 plays, 75 yards and score a touchdown than it is to go 14 plays and march it down the field. Another guy, and I don't mean to just go through Miami's whole depth chart here, but Don Chaney getting healthy. Like you're looking at a very, very nice running back room. I know they added a Jay Allen in Nebraska. The story of this run game, though, is a drastically improved offensive line that might be one of the better groups in the ACC.
And that was another unit that struggled right last year. And I couldn't totally make sense of it. I thought it was going to be a good, experienced offensive line, and God, they just
injuries.
Couldn't at any point really get anything going. They were constantly. I mean, Van Dyke was under pressure constantly. Any other quarterback who came in was under pressure. It's just that to me, that unit, like credit to Cristobal and staff for going out and doing what they needed to do in the portal, and frankly bringing in Mauigoa, because that guy apparently
Mauigoa. Let's get his name right, because you're going to be hearing his name in 3 years in the NFL draft. This offensive line, like what it could be, it could be like talk about Zion Nelson. This is a guy who was 2 years ago talking about potentially being a first-round NFL draft pick, was not healthy last year. If this comes together, like here's just in a perfect world, and I get college football is never perfect, but in a perfect world, Zion Nelson's back to form, being an NFL caliber tackle. Francis Mauigoa is what he's built to be, and what you're hearing out of spring practice is like he's like just a freak. You have Matt Lee, who might be one of the better centers in the country. He had rave reviews out of spring practice. JVN Cohen probably would have been a day 2 pick. You're looking at 4 NFL caliber offensive linemen. A guy like Jalen Rivers is pretty damn good at the other guard spot too, throwing Pancake Concho in the mix. This offensive line like could be elite if it all comes together.
Yeah, and you look, what you're probably most excited about as a Miami fan is it's going to be young, and like, man, if these guys, if Mauigoa can show he's really good, Samson Okunolola can show he's good. You got some like Cooper Inez Cooper, I should say. He's another true sophomore. Like you're going to have if these guys can put something together and show something, that just ultimately what I think you want to see from Miami is some building, some young guys play really good football, and look forward to the future when this, frankly, this 23 class kind of comes into form, because that's
what I'm like. I want to ask the Miami fans to let us know in the comment section, like, what are we expecting from this team? And I'm not saying it's impossible. Like, I'm not going to pick them to win the ACC, but like an 8-4, 9-3 year for Miami, and you start building it and get a good 2024 class, which I think they're on track to. And we've said it, recruiting is going to pick up if Miami shows they're going in the right direction. Like this year could be solid. I think this is going to be a stepping stone year, and you're going to see a lot of young cats play. But man, in 2024 and 2025, I think that's what you're excited about if you're Miami. So it's like, yeah, you of course every year you want to win an ACC title, you want to be a national championship contender. But I think for Miami fans, like a solid season where you're playing really competitive ball, winning a lot of games, and then you're looking towards 2024 and 2025. That's, in my opinion, what we should be expecting from this Miami team. I'm kind of interested to hear a gauge from the
Frankly,
Hurricanes.
I want to see some of these young freshman wideouts play. It's like, why not?
Me too.
And I don't
Joseph. I love them.
You don't have a loaded group of guys here. It's like Jaleel Skinner. He should be playing. He's a guy you want to see in the future. You saw him last year play a little bit, and you see something there.
Like the cut of him.
I want these young guys on the field if I'm a Miami fan, because at the end of the day, this is not a national title team, I don't think. But this 23 class can kind of be the foundation of a team that could go win it, especially if they can continue to fill it in the portal and crank the recruiting back up in 24-25.
Totally agree. Like this team in 2024 and 2025 could be a national title contending team. And if they take the steps in the right direction, I think that's what's most important. Taking a look at this defense, really, really excited, Lance Guidry. Like, you're going to see just a more in-your-face, aggressive defense, and they got the guys to do it, especially on this defensive line. You're talking about some legit NFL prospects. Leonard Taylor, hopefully he gets it again. The story of this is just so many guys were just nicked up, banged up, not 100%. Leonard Taylor, I really like. Jafari Harvey off the edge, I like. Akeem Mesidor is a guy that can do it all. Still, I'm going to shout out a guy that I think Miami fans are probably familiar with. Maybe some of our other just college football fans, maybe not so. True freshman Ruben Bain. Like, what I'm hearing, what he's doing in spring practice, he's going to be a big-time contributor early as a true freshman for the Hurricanes.
Another guy you want to see him. I think Jared Harrison I feel like you're sleeping on him, not mentioning him, because you got to – with him and Taylor, you got two athletic, really disruptive defensive tackles. And I kind of want to see them play and get turned loose and make more negative plays. And that's Leonard Taylor's game. I mean, he's so good at penetrating.
And that's the story, because they don't have like the big bodies. And that's been something a lot of the Miami fans that we've talked about in the comment section. I think they tried to get it done in the transfer portal. I don't think they totally successfully did. And it's like a good, but there's also some trade-offs. Like, you're going to get some real penetration out of a guy like Leonard Taylor, a lot of negative plays. And yeah, you might not have that stalwart guy like Jade Nesta Silvera a couple years ago. He transferred to Arizona State. That was kind of that body where it's like, I'm going to two gap, I'm going to take two blockers. But you have some playmakers. That's not all that bad. Now, linebacker play, I think, has been since Shaq Quarterman, it's just not been great. Francisco Mauigoa coming in from Washington State, again, it was hard to find transfer linebackers who were that productive at the Power 5 level. I think they found one with him. You have a guy like Corey Flagg Jr., who they might shift over to the Will. We're not sure. But again, I think you're getting a stalwart middle linebacker that will be able to clean up a lot at the second level.
And that's just a big one to get. Like, add a guy who, again, just someone who's really proved it at the college level.
Finds the football.
You're right. You just haven't seen that enough at Miami since that group of three who were a really good crew with Quarterman and company. But now, again, you do add Mauigoa into the mix, and Corey Flagg, I thought, played pretty good football at times last year. That's, again, getting these type of portal players, they can turn you around relatively quick. I mean, it's not going to make them crazy different, but it's such a good way to fill a hole if you need to. And
I think they did a good job, and I think Mario Cristobal did a nice job, like, managing, like, hey, we're still going to recruit out of the high school ranks, but we also got to get the players to start winning some football games early, and I think they did a nice job of that. Secondary, like, this could be a really, really good unit if it clicks, and you're looking at the best safety duo in the whole entire country with James Williams and Cam Kitchens. You bring in Devontae Brown from UCF. Like, personnel-wise, like, it's a group that I like a lot. They added some transfers there, too, that you're kind of excited about. A kid from JUCO, that young kid from Vanderbilt, he can play, too. Like, I like what they did. They brought in a lot of bodies at the cornerback room, and then it's held down by the best safety duo in the country.
And James Williams is a guy who he looks kind of different out there. Obviously, 100%. To be that tall and that athletic and play that smooth is very unique. You almost get like that Derwin James feel, just a different breed out there who's you catches your eye because it is a skill set he has.
And that's going to be big because you do have, like, you lose Tyreek Stevenson, and both Dylan and I were extremely high on him in the draft process. Like, he was great, but it's nice to have, and especially in this Lance Guidry defense where it's going to be a little bit more aggressive. These guys on the back end are going to be asked to maybe do a little bit more, but they're also going to be asked to be put in spots where they can be a little bit ball hockey. and go after and force some turnovers. That's kind of what Lance Guidry likes to do, and I think he's got the perfect safety duo in the back end to make that happen. Now, I do want to take a look at the schedule too, because that is like another piece of it. And man, like, fire me up. Texas A&M, September 9th. You're going to find out.
Teams are playing something fun early in one of those non-conference games. I know so many teams don't like to do it, but those games are just so electric. That game in College Station was so fun.
And it's going to be a massive recruiting weekend too. Like, they're going to get a ton of top prospects on campus for that game. And there's a lot of questions with Texas A&M. We just talked about them the other day. You're going to find out a lot about both teams. Like, I expect Miami to go and take care of business against Miami of Ohio. You're going to find out a lot about Texas A&M and Miami, probably the most intriguing game that weekend slate. You're going to, even if you don't win that game, but you play competitive against an SEC team that, although like under very similar circumstances, right? Both went 5-7. Both were much more talented than a 5-7 record. I'm very excited about that game. And the ACC schedule is not easy, right? You go on the road at Florida State. You go on the road to UNC. You do play Clemson. Like, it's not the easiest schedule, but I almost like it because you're like, this is probably not the year where you're pushing for an ACC title and you're winning a national championship, but you're going to get these guys playing in some big moments where you're going to really see what you have from these guys you brought in the transfer portal and in this 2023 class.
Yeah, and that'll be it for Miami, and that'll be what kind of determines this season as a success. And now, I will say, you probably want to go plus on the wins.
100%. You want to win football games. I don't want to, and I'm not going to sit up here and say like you're looking for moral victories. No, this Miami team is too good to be doing moral victories. That being said, you also want to see in those big games them be competitive with those big dogs in the ACC. On the road at Florida State, they're going to be a very good team. You get Clemson at home. So again, I view this season, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to this Miami team, as a stepping stone. Like, this is a program that if you're a Miami fan, 2024, 2025, you're fired up for. This year, you can
big-time development with the coordinators and big-time play out of the young guys. That's probably what I mostly want to see. And frankly, if you get that, you're going to win 7 games or so.
100%. I expect this team to go 8-4. I mean, 9-3 would be a phenomenal year. But again, if you like what you see like that, like 2024, 2025, you're absolutely pumped up if you're a Hurricanes fan. Again, Miami fans, it was good to talk about what this team's going to look like in the fall. Like, we've talked a lot of transfer portal. We've talked a lot of recruiting. Talking about how these teams are going to look like in the fall has been a blast. You guys have supported the boys in a big way. So if you do enjoy the content, you like the commentary, whether you agree or disagree, let us know in the comment section. We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.